Welcome back, everybody. We're going to do a quick tomato garden tour for you. It's a little premature for this time of the year. Usually I wait till the plants get a little bigger, but I want to give you an early look at what's going on outdoors and explain why it's happening so you don't panic when it happens to you. So you just got to hang in there. So wait till we get outside and we'll bring you out there and we'll explain what's going on. Right now I just want to kind of give you a quick tour on the tomatoes on the outside part of my garden and not at the top of the my driveway over there. So let's turn you around and show you what we got going on with the tomatoes. Okay, so right here we got some tomatoes on the inside over here. We're just going to kind of run through some of these varieties really quickly. We got the Kiev something, Kiev 139. That's going to be quite interesting. It's either Russian or Ukrainian variety. We have in the back, this is going to be interesting. It's a wild variety of tomato. So we're growing that one out, and it is growing quite weird. It's kind of weird looking. The leaf on this thing is kind of strange. It's not your atypical type of leaf. I thought it was a potato leaf at first, but it's not. So yeah, we got a few of them growing. We got this. I don't know half of the names. I can't pronounce half of this stuff. We got that. We're growing. We have Chocolate Dreams. This is a nice one. I actually like this one from the year before, and I can't find really any information on the internet about it, but I think it's quite a nice variety. So I figure we'll grow it in the greenhouse this year to keep it away from the blight so we can get a really good harvest out of it. In the back we got, this is going to be interesting. I don't know that much about this variety, but that's going to be interesting. I don't think it's a wild variety, but it might be in that wild world. Hawaiian. This is a Hawaiian, native Hawaiian variety. It's I believe it's either a cherry tomato or a currant tomato, and it's just called a Hawaiian currant. So it is a currant tomato. So we're growing a Hawaiian currant. Yes, these plants are going to get all the way big. We're going to let them go all the way to the steel, and then we're going to let them grow across the steel. That's how we do it when I grow tomatoes in the greenhouse. In the back, we got Solanum pinelli back here. That's going to be really cool. We're going to get quite a bit of seed off of that. We'll lower our prices on the pinelli so we can, if we could get enough seed out of that thing. It's kind of hard to grow some of these wild varieties. We got Chilatomat. Whatever that is, that's some kind of a wild variety here. We got Pink Flamingo. Whipsinicon Peach. We're growing it in here because this plant really gets susceptible to blight. So I need to grow it inside of a greenhouse to keep it away from the blight. We have the Purple Rain. That's a dwarf variety. I'm not sure if that's Dwarf Tomato Project, but we're growing it in here. A lot of these are doubles anyway. More Chilatomat. We have Chilapass. This is going to be fun. This is another wild variety. I'm big on these wild varieties. That right there is the golden currant tomato. That one's really strange. That's a very strange wild variety of tomato. It's not your atypical type of currant. This thing makes tomatoes very, very small, like almost the size of a pea, should I say. Garden peach right here. That's very similar to the Whipsinicon peach. We got mushroom basket variety. This is a kind of variety eventually wants to droop down and grow downwards. Solanum arcanum red. Now this is a Solanum arcanum, right, that may have cross-hybridized with Solanum pimpinellifolium, but I'm not sure if it came from me or if I got it from the seed that I got it from the guy. So I'm not sure if it happened in my garden or if it happened somewhere else. However, we're growing it out to see what comes out of it. Manitoba, we got Pink Furry Boar, which is very similar to like the Garden Peach or the Whipsinicon Peach, except this is a larger version and it's very fuzzy like a peach fuzz. Small Yellow Plum, we have green grape in the back. We got Donna. Gloria is not happening. That's a mistake. I got to get that out of there. We got Wine Jug. We got Ruffled Pink. We have, I don't know what the name of that is. You guys pronounce that on your own. Pause the video and pronounce it. Krakovich Gold. We have Barnes Mountain Gold. Tombola. I'm not sure what that is. I think it's just a mix of other tomato varieties. So we just planted it and see what comes out of it. We got Green Tiger going there. We got Buttermilk Falls. That one's a fantastic tomato, guys. I grow that mostly for myself. But I do offer the seed to it. But man, that is a great eating tomato right there. Furry Bumblebee right here. furry bumblebee. It's a nice woolly variety, but it's a bumblebee. I don't know how you pronounce that. I am out of wind and tired, and so you pronounce it. Cream sausage, that's going to be fun. We got UFO 47. That's a variety that I can't really say I created it, but it happened in my garden somewhere, and I'm not sure where it happened, but I separated it, and I ended up with this thing, and when I go to do a review on it, I'll explain what it is. I didn't necessarily cross it it may have crossed in my garden is what I'm saying. So I named it UFO, and 47 was the lot number of that variety that year, so I named it UFO 47. So we'll see if that turns into anything. Then in the back is another variety that showed up in my garden that I didn't do. After you grow your plant for a while and then you plant something and something weird comes out of it, it may have crossed, right? So I call this one pink balloons. It's a very strange, kind of a heart-shaped pepper, but not quite a heart. It's kind of long and stretched out and weird looking. Almost looks like a devil's horn. Polish linguiça. We got Zima. A lot of people asking me about Zima. I figured I'd grow it out. I'm not going to sell a seed to it, but if you're interested, maybe I'll offer some seed for that on a very small basis, a limited basis for the Zima. I don't really want to get into offering that, but a lot of people are interested in it, so maybe we'll offer a seed for the Zima. Here's a interesting one. I got a couple plants of this going. Calabacatito Rojo. I'm not sure how you pronounce that. We got Patarello. We have over here Korean Long. That's going to be a nice one. That was a strange one. I think it's a really long sausage-like tomato. We got Heinz H9129. That's going to be fun to grow. I'm a big fan of the Heinz series of tomatoes. They're really good. Variety to grow. Gardener Sweetheart. That one's a really strange one. Kind of makes like these little heart cherry tomatoes, but the cherry tomatoes shaped like a heart. It's really cool. Here's some of these other varieties. I can't go over everyone, guys. Just kind of scan you through. I'll point out all the highlights. How's that for you? We got Solanum Galapagos the minor version. So we have the regular minor, and then we got the hairy one going. So hopefully these two will do good, and we'll get plenty of seed from on both of them. We could bring our prices down once we could get enough seed out of it. These are really hard varieties to get to even fruit, let alone get seed from it. So we got Wee-Tang Shebang right here. We got Wee-Tang Shebang. We got Goat Bag. We got the Goat Bag going. We got the Blind Boar. We got Blind Boar. We got Southern Palmari there. We got Fraterale. We got Taxi going this year. We're going to do some Taxis. We got Scabithica. Hopefully we can get really good examples of the Scabithica. It's a variety that tends to do what's known as scabbing on the skin, or some people call it flecking, or it's a combination of flecking and scabbing. And it's a very strange feature that some tomatoes exhibit, and I think Wild Boar Farms is really focusing on that for a little while. They came up with the Dark Galaxy, which was another one that was big on flecking, and so that's how they were getting a lot of these effects. And so this is one of those varieties. Scabitha is one of those varieties, and that's why he probably named it Scabitha. A great name for that variety. We got Santiago there. We got Lollipop. We got Evil Olive. I didn't get a lot of my seed, and a lot of that seed didn't sprout. So I didn't go too crazy with Evil Olive, but I got one plant coming up, so that's good enough for this year. But I think next year I'm going to do about 50 plants of that. Fruit Punch, we got Heinz 1706. We got Pink Grapefruit. Galapagos, we already talked about. We got Stick Tomato. And over here we have Buffalo Burr. We get a lot of people asking about Buffalo Burr. Okay, so a little thing about Buffalo Burr, you have to cold stratify these seeds, just so you know. I don't generally cold stratify them, but you should cold stratify your seeds when you get it. In other words, when you buy the seed for this, throw it in your freezer for, I don't know, about 30 days, and then take it out, and then plant it, and you'll see that it'll sprout right away. This variety of plant needs to be cold stratified, just so you know. Stupice, we got Evil Olive, we got Lollipop, we got Cherokee, Tiger Large. That is a Chartreuse type of effect. You're going to be seeing a lot more of these varieties out in the marketplace. And as time goes on, hopefully somebody starts across a variegated version with the Chartreuse. That's going to be absolutely insane. You're going to have so many colors on that variegated variety. If you cross it with Cherokee Tiger Large, you're going to get some great colors out of that. If I had time, guys, I'd do it myself. I am just beyond busy. We have Little Lucky in the back. Over here, this is interesting. This is a wild hairy tomato. This is a third version of wild hairy tomato. I got this from a guy in Poland. He sells wild tomato varieties if you could still get a hold of them. I happen to get one of his wild varieties for this version of hairy tomato. And it's very hairy, and it supposedly makes very large tomato flowers. So we'll have to see how that comes out. But that's a third version of wild hairy tomato. That'll be fun to grow. We have indigo kumquat. We got 42-day here. Silvery fir. This is another interesting variety for those of you who don't know what silvery fir is. It's a lace leaf variety of tomato. And it's very different. It's kind of a dwarf variety or compact variety. It generally doesn't get very big, but the leaves have a lot of these tertiary leaves or this lace leaf effect to it, very similar to like what you see on the Galapagos variety. But this is more of a lace leaf variety, and it's a very different variety. And that is silvery fir right there. We got Window Box Dwarf, we got Jade Beauty, we got Peachy Keen. I can't wait to grow those. That's going to be a really interesting one. It's not a dwarf, but it's pretty cool. We got Balcony Miracle Gold. We got, I don't know what that is, Guadalupe di Inverno. That's some kind of an Italian variety. Dwarf Walters Fancy right there, right? We got Dwarf Walters Fancy. And then we got Mushroom Basket Tomato. It's supposed to be a basket variety, but it's kind of growing tall, so I don't know how that works out to be a basket. Over here we got the Dwarf Elsie's Fancy. So Dwarf Walter Fancy, Dwarf Elsie Fancy. There's two slightly different variations. The Dwarf Elsie Fancy I got from, I can't remember who I got that from. Maybe Heritage Seed Market, I think. And the seed may have gotten mixed with other varieties, so I'm getting a lot of these other types of dwarfs are coming up in there. But I still have at least one plant of the Dwarf Elsie Fancy, so we will get to review that one. So don't panic. They're in there. They just got mixed with some of the other seeds, so they're still good. We got Solanum Arcanum in the back right there, baby. That is Solanum Arcanum. A lot of people going nuts over that variety. They love Solanum Arcanum. Okay, so we got Velvet Red. That's a dwarf variety. This one here. That right there. That is the one. This is called the Cannibal Tomato. This is called the Cannibal Tomato. It's not really a tomato, but it is in the Solanum family. It's more like an eggplant, but some people don't have any idea what it is because it's like a cross between a tomato and an eggplant. I have no idea. So, yeah, we're growing that one out. We got the Cu.ft. We just showed you that up there. We got Sweet for Children. That's a nice little variety. That would be fun to grow out. It's a nice little, I think, it's a nice little cherry variety. We got the Burantino. If we could get good examples of that this year, hopefully the Burantino is a tomato that makes like a tail, like a Reaper makes a tail on the end of it. Well, we got a tomato that does the same thing, and these tails are really bizarre. They can actually make like a curl, like a pigtail, or they can get really long. I've seen some really insane examples of this tomato variety. So, yeah, we've been trying to grow it out. We're going to keep going until we can get those tails nice and long. We got Linda, that's a dwarf variety. We got Dwarf Walters again. There's several pots of this stuff going around here. Dwarf Bendigo Blush, right? Yeah, Dwarf Bendigo Blush. Pygmy, these are starting to get into the micro dwarfs. These are all the micro dwarfs. So we'll talk about them as soon as we get to them. Here is the Groovy Tunes. That's another Chartreuse variety, very similar to the Cherokee Tiger Large. This is Groovy Tunes, which is very similar to that, but it's definitely different in nature because the leaves are really puffy and it's a real nice variety. I really like this one a lot. I'm really getting infatuated by these Chartreuse varieties. It's really turning me on big time. Tiger Eye. We got Tiger Eye. We got Tina. This is called Micro Tina. This is a microdwarf. Now, we don't know how big this can ultimately get, but it is considered a microdwarf. Now, we got Gemma. And Gemma, this is starting to get into the nanodwarfs. So you're getting into real tiny varieties. And, of course, when you get into microtom, originally called a microdwarf, is now being called, by me anyway, a nanodwarf, because these plants, as you can see, not even about half the size of my finger, right? These plants will produce, live, and die at about 3 to 4 inches. This is the original microtom. I got it from the true descent of the seed. This isn't your atypical microtom out there that's going to grow, 4 or 6 inches, 8 inches tall like a normal microdwarf. This is the true descent of microtom. I went to a lot of trouble to get this seed. I paid dearly for it, and it's it's starting to prove itself very well. This again is the original strain of Microtom from the original from its original creation back in the either late 80s or 90s, whenever that was. That is it right there, guys. So hopefully we can get some seeds from this. We'll offer it online. Groovy tomato, semi-variegated variety or something weird like that. And we got this thing. I don't know what this is called. Shimphori variegated. It's a variegated variety, but it's a dwarf. It's another dwarf, or it might even be a microdwarf. I don't know. It just doesn't want to grow. Maybe it is a microdwarf. We have dwarf Mogollon Moon in the back. Groovy. Plumbarella. Now that's supposedly a basket variety, so maybe that's just going to keep going until it gets to around 2 feet. I don't know. Maybe it'll just stay that small the entire year. I don't know. I'm growing it in big pots. I'm growing it in little pots. We're growing it all over the place. We'll see what it does. We got Kibiko. I think that's another microdwarf. I don't even know. We got Mushroom Basket again. I think that's a golden version, Santiago. We have this. This is a, it's not exactly, they call it compact, but it's still a dwarf because the leaves are starting to show that dwarfism. So what determines the difference between a dwarf and a compact? Well, if the plant is exhibiting dwarfism, and as you can see, like leaves like this, they're showing that sign of the dwarf variety of plant. It's a recessive gene in a plant. So you got regular leaves that do it, and you got potato leaf that does it. As long as it's showing that dwarf leaf shape, that weird type of dwarfism, then it's a dwarf. You can't call it a compact. But you get ones that are combination compact and dwarf because of the nature of the plant. It's really strange. We have super determinates in here too. So if anybody ever heard of super determinates, we do have several varieties in here that are super determinates. We are growing those as well. Those are going to be quite interesting. Too much to cover in one day. We got Regina Yellow, another microdwarf, Jahalo. This is another microdwarf. You can see all my microdwarfs already got tomatoes on them. I'm going to have tomatoes probably in the next... These were just planted like maybe, I don't even know, maybe a month ago. And a month and a half later, we got tomatoes. So these are truly your 42-day tomatoes, if you ask me. Because they already got tomatoes on them. Look at them. They're all covered in tomatoes. What do we got here? We got Micro Gold. That's in that nano dwarf area. This wouldn't be a nano dwarf. This is Maneka. That's more of a micro dwarf because you can see the plant's already 6 to 8 inches tall. What else we got in here? We got, oh, I don't know what that is. I have to rip that out and look at it. Dwarf Mogollon Moon, whatever that is. I think that's a Dwarf Tomato Project type variety. We got that one going. More Mushroom Basket, more of them. A lot of these you've seen already. Father Frost. Here we go. This is Father Frost right here. It's a potato leaf variety. Absolutely gorgeous. It's supposed to be a dwarf variety, so it shouldn't get too big. If it gets too big, well, then, I don't know. If it gets any bigger than this, and I don't really consider it a dwarf, but Father Frost, if I'm not mistaken, is supposed to be considered to be a dwarf. Let's see here. We got more Balcony Miracle. Plumbarella Yellow. So I got red and yellow side by side. We have Woolly something in the back here. I think it's Woolly Kate. Yeah, this is called Woolly Kate. Okay, so let's get into these microdwarfs here a little bit for you guys. Okay, so these are what I refer to as nano dwarfs. These are baby and what is that called? Andrina. Baby and Andrina. So here's the original Microtom. Now you can see that the original Microtom is absolutely tiny. You can see how tiny that plant is. That's the original one. Very, very tiny variety. And then, of course, we have Baby, right? So Baby is a very similar type of variety to the Microtom because it's so tiny. It's actually a nano dwarf, as I call it that, because they're so small. They're different from all these other varieties, right? These other varieties are considered microdwarfs, but they get anywhere between 6 to 10 inches tall. Microdwarfs can get quite tall, believe it or not, but not that tall, right? So regular dwarfs get to like 4 feet tall. Then you got microdwarfs, which really don't get much bigger than, I think they say 12 inches. Anything past that, it's not really a microdwarf. But then you get all these other short varieties that are like between microdwarf and dwarf, and they're like 2 foot tall varieties, and those will start falling into the basket and then into the compact varieties. They're weird and they just don't fit in any of the other categories. So I guess that's where they fall into. These are baby and Andrina, and these are really, these plants don't get any bigger than say 6 inches tall at best. Even though they're small like that and they stay really tiny and compact, every now and again that variety will throw out a plant that does start to get tall. Like over here, it's not a dwarf even, it's still a microdwarf, but it's a large version. Like, so here's Andrina or baby. Okay, so this one's baby, and you can see one of the seeds inside this pot. One variety out of, I don't know, say 25, 30, 40 plants, one variety came out big. So it goes to show you that the genetics will still kind of throw out some of the other sizes. So what I do with those is I don't include that when I separate the seeds for that. I don't include that as part of baby. That gets separated out separately. I'll call it baby 2 or baby microdwarf, baby nanodwarf, something like that. But I don't combine that with the rest of them. All these little plants get isolated onto themselves. But you can see every now and again it will put out a larger plant. It's not common, but it does do it. All of these do that. All of them do it. All right. I'm running out of air here. Oh, we got so many. We got Federale there, pink grapefruit. We said those already. Packerman pear. We got wheat tang shebang. Man, a lot of these are doubles. Colossus. Here's an interesting one. This is a wild variety from Papua New Guinea, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. It's a type of wild tomato variety from there. So that'll be interesting. See how that goes. It's supposed to be a very small shrubby plant, like a compact, I guess. And it's supposedly a wild variety that grows out there. I'm not sure. It could be a native variety. Who knows? It may not be an invasive species to that, or a naturalized species. It might actually be one of a native to that country. Don't know. What else we got here? Oh, this is called Tiny Totem. It's very similar to the regular totem. So you got totem tomato, and so totems can grow, about 35 inches tall, maybe 3 feet at best, and they get really gnarly, really big. They shape like a Christmas tree. And then you have what's known here as Tiny Totem, which is a compact version of the dwarf variety of totem. So it's like half the size of the regular totem. So far it is. And then, of course, in the front here we have, I have no idea, Pygmy. So these are all my microdwarfs right here. Most of them anyway. I got some of them up front and everything, but most of my microdwarfs are right here. And we brought them in here this year rather than just keeping them outside, because you want to keep the rain off the tomatoes, a lot of these varieties, because the rain is what brings the blight. And if you can keep the rain off your tomato plants, you will keep the blight off them. Simple as that. All right. So anyway, here we go. Here's my tomato garden. As you can see, it's really hurting. Looks really bad. I brought in a couple of $1,000 worth of top mulch in here. As you can see, these beds. This whole thing was filled with about 12 inches thick, deep soil. I cut it all out. As you can see, I cut it into rows. And this is the way I do it. Yeah, you can cut it like a traditional farm. I like to do it this way. Gets me really personal with the plants, and I can really consolidate my plants quite a bit doing it in this method. I also do the same thing with my pepper plants. I can really, and at the same time, I get access to all my plants all the way around. So we got quite a few varieties out here. I'm not gonna go through all of these. There's just way too many varieties out here. A lot of what you see out here is not indoors. This stuff is just simply it's stuff on its own. And I don't even, to be honest with you, I don't even know if I'm going to get around to reviewing all of these. It's just not even physically possible. I'd have to do like a 5-minute review on each one of them. I don't know if that's even possible for me to do. We'll try though. All right, so we'll show you a couple things around here. And we'll try to see if we can, I got to get that pot out of there. So let's see here. What do we got here? We got some varieties here. Mini parvula right there. Kind of took a beating from the slugs. The slugs did a lot of damage out here when I first planted these out here. They definitely did a lot of damage to my plants, and so yeah, they didn't help the matter. So when you just so you know, when you see your plants, you put them out here, they're all getting kind of yellow like that. They don't want to grow. They're flowering. Again, when you see that, that's because you're transplanting your plants that were growing fine in your little pots, where the sun was heating up that little pot and the root system was hitting like 80, 90 degrees. And all of a sudden you plant it in the ground and that goes down to like 50, 60 maybe. Yeah, that's going to give it a thermal shock that's going to cause the whole plant to yellow. That's why you see that yellow and stuntingness. It didn't kill a plant, but sometimes it could. Sometimes that cold shock could literally kill your plant. Now you have thermal shock, you have photo shock, thermal shock, and you also have pH shock. These are the main things that are under the whole transplant shock that cause these problems with this plant. Sometimes it'll kill your plants. Most of the time you're fine. Just keep in mind, keep them watered regularly. The sun, full sun like I have here, doesn't help the situation. That stresses them out really bad. But we have to get these into full sun at some point because I can't just sit here and baby it. So it's gonna have to at some point get used to the full sun, and it has to happen relatively quickly. I can't sit here and hold its hand like a mommy, right? It's got to grow up and become a big boy real quickly. Okay, so as we talk about a couple of the varieties out here, let's see here. We got it says Galapagos Island tomato, but this is called the Cheese Man's Galapagos Island. I don't know that much about it. It's a real strange variety. It does put out like these little mini type grape tomatoes, but they start off orange, like they turn orange, and then they eventually, if you leave them on there, they turn red. So it's really weird. I've never seen a tomato actually do that, but that variety actually does do it. So it's definitely something to it, but supposedly it's a Galapagos tomato. If you don't know about the Galapagos Islands, there's only 2 endemic species. You got the major and the minor, and along with those majors and the minors, there's a lot of hybridization that took place on those islands from natural hybridization from the Pimpinellifoliums and the Lycopersicans that got on there, and all these other varieties popped up around the islands. And so there's a whole bunch more of varieties now, almost you could say natural, I wouldn't say native, but naturalized to the environment, and as a result you're ending up with a lot of these varieties. So this is one of them. This is one of those varieties that probably came from the Galapagos Islands, and it's just a naturalized version that hybridized over there, and you're ending up with something really cool like that. So that's what that is there. Over here we got Solanum arcanum. Again, we're going to let these plants literally, you can see I got a whole rack full of stuff here. These plants are just, we're going to let them grow along that and then over the fence and down. We're going to let them do that this year rather than trying to stake everything up, because it's impossible to stake all these plants up. Some of the stuff's going to have to just grow wild. Over here we got Pimpinellifolium, but this is called ribosides. No, not this one. Is this it? No, that's not it. That's another variety. This is called Pimpinellifolium, but this one's called ribosides, I think it's called. This is very rare. You ain't going to find seed for this basically anywhere. I don't know if you can read it. That is what it is. It's mostly the last name you got to remember there. Riboside variety. Ribosides, anytime you see variety, that's usually the cultivar name. It's still a Pimpinellifolium variety, Pimpinellifolium. However, it is considered riboside, so I'm not that familiar with that or what that is. I don't know anything about it. There's really no information about it at all. I could try contacting the vendor and see if they could provide me a little more details on what riboside is and where it comes from. But outside of that, that's all I know about it, but that's a different type of pimp. We got Solanum neoriki over here. Let's see here. We got, I don't know what, we got Yama. We got Yana growing there. We got Yama and Yana. We got both, but that's a Yana. That's a black seaman right there. Not black seaman, black sea man is really what it is. Cuban pepperlight. This one's going to be, all right? Or is that Cardone? Oh, that's Carbon. There's Carbon. I have Carbon, and then I got Cuban pepperlight, which is going to be really interesting. Shapari. I grew that last year, but I never had it didn't grow very good, and then I didn't get a lot of tomatoes, so I didn't review it. Hopefully this year we can do a review on it. I'm going to put I'm going to put a stake in the middle here, and then I'm going to weld a bar across it and then wire it back and let them grow along the wires. I got to build all of that yet. Got my hands full. Let's see what else we got here. Longhorn. This is another one we got to do. This is a really strange one. It makes this really longhorn type pepper. It looks like a longhorn. Let's see where we got. Streak lightning. I don't know, it'd be fun. Climbing triple crop. Okay, so a lot of people heard of the tomato tree, or not tree tomato. One's called tree tomato, one's called tomato tree. I think tree tomato is the Tamarillo, and tomato tree is the triple L crop. It's a variety that's grown in Italy that grows high up onto a trellis, and it grows all the way across. It gets extremely long and grows across trellises and then drops its fruit down. Something crazy like that. These plants can literally get wooden stems on them, and they get really gnarly and stuff. So that is what that is. Climbing triple crop. This, hopefully you can, if you see the varieties there, you might be able to pick them out. Just kind of, a lot of them are atypical, really. Stupice again. I got two versions of the Stupice, that's why I'm growing it. Tamarindo, Piccolo. I got more Russian varieties. Got beans that popped up here really strangely. I'm not sure what kind of beans those are. They might be the red burgundy bean, I guess. I don't know. This is all new soil and everything here, so it's not for me, I don't think. Petrillo. Pink something. Pink beaver? Pink beaver. Why would you name your tomato pink beaver? Florida 47, that's going to be interesting. I also have a seedless, sweet seedless I'm growing. That's going to be really fun. It supposedly doesn't make seeds, so I won't be able to offer seeds. Lampo. A lot of people ask me about that variety. This tomato is one of the strangest tomatoes I ever grew. It literally makes a tomato that's harder than an apple. It's literally like trying to bite into a walnut. This tomato is literally hard. If you threw it at a wall, you'd probably break the sheetrock. I've never seen anything like it. It's extremely bizarre. I guess it was created specifically for maybe ketchup or some kind of paste or something. I don't know. But it's a very, very hard variety of tomato. Very hard. 1884, there's a whole history behind that one. Sweet orange, I think that's a cherry variety. A lot of these growing along my fence are cherry varieties, because we're just going to let them grow over and up and down the fence. We're not going to do anything with them this year. It's just the centers that I need to brace up. Jerusalem, there's a Jerusalem tomato from Israel. Let's see here. Anything else interesting? Blue pear, that ought to be fun. Nice and dark. Some of these tomato varieties are really, they're like black varieties, just so you know. Like you can see the blue pear right here. You can see the stem on it's virtually black. Well, in direct sunlight, full, hard, coarse sun, those tomatoes are going to be literally black like this one here. They literally turn fully black. I've seen it before. I've seen it do that. Not many varieties do this, but these will literally turn, like you can't even see it. They'll turn pitch black. So yeah, that's going to be really cool. And let's see, anything else? Here's another black variety. The Thong. That's another variety that turns pitch black. Little Lucky in the back. Martinique Rosa. I got a lot of these varieties are Italian sauce varieties, so some of them are very old. They're very old heirlooms, originally from Russia. So a lot of these varieties they're collectible varieties that they use in Russia. So yeah, we'll be going over all of that in the once we get over to the that time of the year. But for now, I just wanted to give you a quick look and just kind of give you, hopefully lift your spirits if you're looking at your tomato varieties and they're all yellow and stunted like that. This is going to hang in there, guys. It's going to take about 3 weeks to a month for tomato. Peppers usually take anywhere between 4 weeks to a month and a half. Tomatoes usually come out of it a little quicker. You just got to hang in there. Don't do any topping. Don't prune any leaves off. Just leave it alone. And when it's ready, it'll bump. And when it starts bumping, then that's when you can start picking off leaves off the bottom and suckering your plant. Don't do anything yet. Leave it alone. Let your plant stabilize. Let it get used to the sun and the heat and the thermal and the pH. And when it's ready, it'll go back into vegetative growth, and then you're going to have a world of hurt on your own when it's time to start harvesting. Believe me when I tell you. So anyway, guys, I just wanted to give you a quick tomato tour of the area. I wanted to give you an early view and kind of just show you what's going on with the tomato, the transplant shock, and just kind of encourage you not to worry about it. Again, outdoors, you'll see that transfer shock because of the thermal temperatures. Most of the time, it's all thermally related. When you see indoors, like you see all these plants here, none of these plants went through thermal shock at all. You can see how beautiful they're doing in my greenhouse. No thermal shock at all, but as soon as you plant them out there, that's where you see the thermal shock. So just keep that in mind. Don't panic. Just ride it out. Give it time and keep it watered, but don't overwater it. And next thing you know, they're going to start bumping, and then you could do your suckering and your pruning. All right, guys, so anyway, I just wanted to give you a quick little tour of our tomatoes that are growing. Hopefully you enjoyed the video, and share the video out, guys. Let some people see this video because they might want to know what's going on with these tomatoes and maybe inspire them to do a little growing of their own. All right, guys, so anyway, hope you enjoyed the video. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, and I will see you on the next one. Take care.